Hello and welcome to this month's Wednesday webinar offered by the Finance Authority of Maine. This webinar is for June of 2022, and this is re-recorded after the fact due to some sound technical difficulties with the first recording. So thank you for joining us today. Today's presentation is From Backup Plan to Boss Man or Woman. My name is Jessica Whittier. I'm a college access counselor with the Finance Authority of Maine. So today's presentation, we are going to be talking about our students that have made it through this process or made it through high school, they're graduating, and maybe they don't quite yet have a plan in place. So we know there are more and more students that are ending up in this position all the time, and they feel maybe a little desperate. So in some cases, maybe they didn't make a plan, or in other cases, they made a plan, but it just didn't turn out the way that they wanted. So they're already a little disappointed. So what we're going to talk about today is at the end of a student's, senior year of high school, or certainly at the end of the academic year, what are the options for students? What's still out there? So we're going to talk about a bunch of those things that students still have time to do some research and make a decision. And there are still really a lot of options out there. Colleges still have room. So we'll talk about how we know this and which colleges are still accepting applications at this time of year. And really that there are some great options out there. So we're going to talk about what degree options are there that we know have large return on investment. So we know that students can get started in even this late in the process and do great and obtain a really great job at the end of that education. And then we'll talk about financial aid, where things are at for financial aid, how students can still access financial aid to pay for their college experience. So let's get started. So first, let's go with students still have time. So even in the month of June, most of the colleges here in Maine are still accepting applications. So all of our Maine community colleges, all of our University of Maine system schools, Husson, Thomas, UNE, St. Joe's, Maine College of Art, I know there are more, most colleges in Maine are still accepting applications at this time, and a number of them are still offering free applications. So no application fee to apply and get that process started. So I spoke with many of these colleges in preparation for this presentation, and most of them are not only still accepting applications, they are happily still accepting applications and trying to build their classes for fall. So because of the pandemic, because of the high pay rate that we're seeing for students right now, just in jobs at Hannaford and Walmart, colleges are really looking for students to join them on their college campuses. So they're trying to make that as easy as possible. So if a student is at this point and they are looking at putting in an application to a college or university, a couple of things to keep in mind. So colleges are trying really hard to have a 1-week turnaround on those applications, which means that when a student submits a completed application, including their final high school transcript and letters of recommendation if those are needed. So once those pieces are put together, it takes the colleges about a week or less to get an answer to those students about acceptance. So that's going to be great for students who are looking, again, last minute to put this all together and still get into classes. So I will say one of the challenges with students applying a little bit later is at some of our colleges, students have been selecting their courses for about a month now. And so those classes will start to fill up and there'll be a few less options. That said, still plenty of options out there. So know that you have about a 1-week turnaround once you get them all of your information. The goal here for most colleges, the one or another piece that they suggested that I really talked to you about is to plan to start, to get started on time. So sometimes students who are a little bit later in this process might dilly-dally a little bit longer. And what that means is maybe they don't get their stuff in until August or late August. And so then the financial aid is not quite in place in time for them to get their books for the 1st of September. And that is where colleges see students that are in a little bit of a tougher spot. So if students in the month of June or even early July submit their applications with that 1 week turnaround, that should be plenty of time to get everything in place for a successful September start. But if it's the end of August or mid-August, by the time that students really get these pieces together and are moving forward, many colleges would suggest, if possible for that student, that they maybe hold off until their January or spring semester for college. So that's going to give students maybe a little bit more time to work or whatever they need to do, but allows them to start on time with all of the books that they need, with kind of that mental, being mentally prepared for their college experience. So this is a big one that I think for the reason that students might hold off in this process. And here's where I'm going to share with you my story and why this presentation meant so much to me. So I was one of those students who at graduation did not have a decision from any college about where I was going to go. I had waited until the very last minute, the month of, I think it was the end of May, when I put in one application to one college. Luckily they took me, but I had so many other things on my mind, and the reality was I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And so it was great to be able to apply to college. At the time I applied to college in something very general. I applied to take psychology because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. But that's okay. So students who are still clueless about that career path, there are lots of options out there for them. So according to the National Center for Education Statistics, 80% of students enter college either undecided or change their major while they are in college. So even those students who seem like they've got it all together and have got a plan, they are still, changing their major along the way. So know that it's not a big deal if you don't know. Most colleges you can apply undecided. You can apply into liberal studies, which is just kind of some general coursework, or you could enter a degree program so that you're at least getting a class that you think you might be interested in. So I really thought I would like psychology. And once I took a couple of classes and started getting a little bit deeper into it, it just really wasn't something I felt interested in or that I was going to be academically strong in. And I changed my major to public administration, which is a 4-year degree in bossing people around, which I was much better at. But running organizations, nonprofit organizations and things like that. So something that interested me more. But it took a little bit of time to find those classes and find those things, which most colleges are going to give you the time to do that. That first year of college, you can take a variety of classes to explore your options and see what you might be most interested in. And I think sometimes just getting students on those college campuses or in programs so that they can talk to professors, talk to other students, get a little bit of experience outside of the high school realm, that really helps them to kind of narrow down what they're thinking about. And colleges still have room. So again, like I said before, the pandemic and the worker shortage has really changed things for high school students. They are able to secure jobs that pay a whole lot more. So I was working with a student recently. He has a job at Walmart as a picker. So his job is when somebody puts an order in for Walmart to go or whatever it's called, he goes and he picks out all of those items and gets them together and makes alterations as he needs to and communicates with that customer. And he gets paid $20 an hour to do that. So, and did I mention that he's 16 years old? 16. Okay. So these students are finding jobs that pay them well. So it's keeping them out of college. They're thinking, oh gosh, if I'm doing so well and I'm not sure what I want to do. So colleges, for students who are really ready to go or thinking this is an option that they want to take right away, colleges actually have quite a bit of room right now. Especially our colleges here in Maine. Our community colleges have some programs that are filling, and I will say, for the most part, when I was talking to our colleges and universities, Colby, Bates, and Bowdoin are not accepting applications at this point in June, but most other colleges are, except in their nursing programs. So most nursing programs or medical related programs are full or close to full at this point. And but the majority of their other programs are open and ready to go. So the average acceptance rate for four-year colleges in the US has hovered around 70% for more than a decade. So not only is it, what's happening in the last 2 or 3 years that makes more space available at these colleges, but what's been happening for the last 10 years. So this means that there are spaces for more students, and colleges are actually pretty far away from reaching their max of what they can handle. So they will happily take more applications and more students and get them in classes. So students don't need to worry about that part of the process. So if you've got a student who is late to the game and is really looking at going to college, and so they're excited that there's going to be room for them, and many of those applications are free, and so they're ready to go, what are the things that they should be thinking about? So even at this late in the process, even though we'd love to say, hey, just put in the application and then we'll figure it out, there are some things that they can consider that could make this process even more successful for them. So one of the things that we encourage students to look at is return on investment. So consider that return on investment, especially if you have a student who's heading off to college and is going to be borrowing student loans in order to make college possible. So we'll talk a little bit more about financial aid availability in just a minute. But students want to know, think about things like, what am I going to get paid? What are the future job openings? So am I heading into a job that's going to have lots of options, or is it going to be a little bit tighter? What are the potential earnings and benefits? So again, with our shortage of workers that we're going through right now, there are a number of jobs that are really focusing on what they can offer employees in order to, entice them in. So students can take a look at those things right now and see which fields are likely to offer them the best, starting salary and earnings and benefits, so benefits that go along with that. But how do students find these, these jobs? How do they know which job is going to pay the most? So there is a great website out there that we highly suggest here at FAME called Career One Stop. So you can visit careeronestop.org. That website has information about every career field in the United States. So in the US, so it's organized and run by the Department of Labor. And so once you're in that website, you can search for salary, you can look at a job and the potential outlook for that job. So are there going to be more jobs in the future or fewer jobs in the future for that position? Another great thing is, so if you have a student, especially maybe looking at nursing, and they're going, well, gosh, they're not accepting any nursing applications right now, so I'm out of luck. You can look at the nursing field there, and it will give you a list of other careers that are very similar to nursing that will allow you to get yourself started. You might still be able to transfer into a nursing program at some point, but maybe you decide that this other field that's pretty close to nursing and similar to nursing might be a good option for you as well. I think a lot of times students think of nursing as kind of just one track, when in fact, the person that they met with that they thought was a nurse was in fact a medical assistant or a respiratory therapist or some other medical tech that help them through. So the Career One Stop will give you kind of other job options related to the job that you are interested in as well. Once you get onto careeronestop.org and you go to their salary finder, which is my favorite tool that I use with students. So that salary finder lets you put in any job you want to do and anywhere in the country that you want to live. So in this example, I chose nurse practitioner in the state of Maine, and you'll see that it shows you the low end to the high end of what you will earn in that job in that location. So in Maine right now, Maine is in red. The the low end or the starting salary for nurse practitioners is $73,890. And then on the high end, they can be making 129. You'll notice the blue line is a little bit bigger, which means that there are some places in the country where you could start at a higher salary or certainly earn more. So nurses might want to take a look at some of those areas if that's something where they want to get started at a higher salary. Move back to Maine whenever you can ask for a little bit more. But this really lets you see what those starting salaries will be. So it gives students that picture of, is the career that I'm thinking of, this path that I'm on, especially if I'm taking out some student loans, am I going to be able to pay them back? Am I going to be able to live, well and comfortably? So I used this tool as to collect some of the data that you'll see in the remaining slides in this presentation on some of the degree programs that are out there that are really quality options for students at this point. And how did I determine that they were quality options? So at maine.gov/labor, you're going to find lots of great information. So this spreadsheet is one of them. So this is a list of the high wage in-demand jobs for the state of Maine. And the list is actually considerably long. So I think, you can look at, I think I searched by 100 different jobs. So these are kind of some of those top fields. And I did, narrow it down a little bit here. So by some parameters to give you a better picture. But this tells you what are those jobs that are in demand here in Maine that have a good wage. So right at the top are our general and operations managers. So, that's a very general description of a job. It's just going to be anybody who is a manager of a business or organization, so we'll take a look a little bit more about how you would get into a job like that. Truck drivers is number 2. So we are definitely looking for more truck drivers here in the state of Maine. Certainly nurses, accountants, other business specialists, teachers, clergy, financial managers. So you're going to see in a second, there is a theme to these. So what are these quality options? And let's break them down for you. But you can find this this chart at maine.gov. So looking at that list, there were some themes of types of jobs that are going to be in demand here in Maine. So if you have a student who's just saying, I don't know what I want to do, I just know I want to make some money and have a job and feel comfortable after graduation, these would be great fields. So business management and finance. And when you're talking to a student who doesn't know what they want to do, a degree in business is almost, especially when you get started, almost the same as a liberal studies degree. You'll take a few classes in business and accounting that kind of let you know whether or not this is going to be a field you're going to be interested in long term. But a lot of the classes are very general, so you could switch into other majors if you needed to along the way. So those general operations managers are starting at about $37,000 a year here in the state of Maine. I will say, I'm going to just point out here, when we come to management positions, students are not often going straight from high school into a management position, although it does happen. But just something to keep in mind is that sometimes these students or graduates might work in a position at an organization that's a little bit below management before they move into those positions. Not always, but I would also encourage students to think while they're in college about where they might want to work. So I have, again, a friend, I'm going to use Walmart as an example. He worked at Walmart while he was in college. He was studying business management. He worked in a department, so he put in his years there and just doing part-time. And then when he graduated, Walmart hired him into a management position. So it is possible to use maybe those part-time jobs that you are, in while you're in college to kind of move yourself into those positions that pay a little bit more. Accountants and auditors are starting at $48,500. Let's look. So just general managers starting at $74,000. And marketing managers starting at $75,000. So hospitality management starting at $40,000. So how do you get into these positions? So degree options. So certainly a business degree Hospitality and tourism. So if you have a student who's already working in restaurants and things like that, and things that they might want to head in that direction, lots of opportunities for students in hospitality and tourism here in Maine. Management information systems. So this would be somebody who is really on the computer side of business management. So they're looking at using tech in the business field. And again, I don't believe that I have this example here, but that's going to be on the higher end of the pay scale for starting salaries. Human resources and economics. So those would be some degree programs that students could hop into even this late in the game and do great. Other options would be an apprenticeship with Hospitality Maine. So that is something that students can do, can work with Hospitality Maine for an apprenticeship. So they could work with an organization and get trained in those positions while they are still in high school. While they are still in college or after high school, kind of in place of college. Taking a look on the right-hand side here, we've got what kind of degrees do people hold that are in these positions? So you'll see that the majority or the larger percentage of people have a bachelor's degree in business or something, or a business related degree option and to hold these positions. 11% have their master's, but if you take a look down below, I think if we add them up, almost 50%, pretty close to 50%, have an associate's degree or less. So these are people who have worked in these positions for a while and worked their way up. So you don't need to just go and get your MBA, which is wonderful, but you could, get started with less and end up in some of these really, really great high in-demand positions here in the state of Maine. Truck drivers. So that was number 2 on our list. So I will say, based on the information from Career One Stop, according to this, truck drivers in Maine are starting at about $31,000 a year. Now, if you listen to any commercials on the radio about truck driving, they certainly talked about the potential that some organizations are paying a whole lot more than that starting salary. There is a shortage of truck drivers here in the state of Maine. So companies are really trying to encourage people to work for them. So how do you get trained? So you do need a specialized license, a CDL, and we have a number of different places in Maine. So it's possible that you might look at your local adult ed or your technical high school. So any of our tech schools, some of them offer truck driver education programs. So it's worth checking those out. Those are often at a lesser cost. NTI has locations so Northeast Technical Institute has locations in Scarborough, Bangor, and Auburn, and they start a new training program every 3 weeks for truck drivers. And I also wanted to point out that Northern Maine Community College is offering a commercial driving academy that they have managed to get fully grant funded, which means there will be no cost to trainees. And so they have cohorts starting June 20th and July 25th. So if students are interested in getting trained as a truck driver, then it's worth checking out some of these options. So that training it's through Northern Maine Community College, and it looks like the licensing will take place in Bangor. Education. So this is a field that there are tons of openings for. We know that there are a number of schools that are already struggling to fill the open positions that they have for fall. And one of the challenges is that we have not had a huge cohort of students heading in to education programs from high school. So this is something that if a student is interested in teaching, there are going to be a lot of openings available for teachers. So secondary educators, elementary educators, middle school educators, they are starting anywhere between $38,000 and $45,000 a year. And now remember that although we talk about salary as part of this, I would say for anybody who's looking at the kind of the time frame, although teachers put in a ton of work and extra work outside of school hours, they also have the same schedule as many of their children, potential summers off where they could work a second job if they chose to. So know that there are some great other benefits to being an educator. And even preschool teachers, huge openings for preschool teachers in Maine, and they are starting at $29,000 a year. So, and preschool teachers you're looking at a 2-year program would get you into those jobs. So what are some other programs that have a great starting salary and are still accepting applications at our colleges? So engineering. So when I was talking to the different colleges here in the state of Maine, and I said, is there any program you really want me to tell them, hey, we have space or we're still accepting? Engineering is one of them. So colleges are really trying to build up those engineering programs. We know that those are high paying jobs at the end of the day. So engineering has a starting salary between $62,000 and $71,000 here in the state of Maine. Machine tool technology. This is a 2-year degree at our Maine community colleges. Starting salary, $62,000 a year. Industrial technology, again, 2-year program, $61,000, although you can also do it as a 4-year program. Information and computer sciences has a starting salary at $60,000. Environmental health and studies is starting at $49,000, and web development starting at $48,200. So these are just a few of the jobs out there. Colleges are still accepting applications into these degree programs, and there are lots of really great jobs and a good starting salary at the end of your degree program. For students who are not looking at those college-related programs, it's also good to know that Maine colleges and universities, as well as adult education programs, offer a huge variety of credentials of value through workforce development programs. So these are programs that are often less than a year, or sometimes even less than a month, to get trained in something that can really pay off in the long run. So if you have a student who has been in been in high school, been in school now for 13 years. So if you figure, 12 years plus kindergarten, plus pre-K, so maybe 14 years of school. Sometimes they're just tired, right? So they're tired of this process. They're tired of education and kind of being, going through that process, and they just want a break. These professional credentials can be a great way to get a student some training and a better job and better pay with better benefits. So let's take a look at some of those. So I had a great conversation with Dwayne Conway, and he was actually part of the original recording of this presentation that never recorded sound. So I apologize for that, Dwayne. But Dwayne is fantastic, and the programs at CM are great. But CM is not the only program out there. So most of our Maine community colleges have workforce development programs that are elaborate and robust and offer great opportunities for students. But these are just a few of the programs offered at Central Maine Community Colleges in their professional credential programs. So these are not going to be officially part of their degree programs. So these trainings do not qualify for financial aid, which we'll talk about paying in a second, but many of them are low to no cost because of different grants and opportunities and partnerships that they have available. If there is a cost, it tends to be a lower cost. So keep that in mind. And so these are some of the training opportunities that are available at CM and those starting salaries. Computer support specialists. So if you have that student who's not sure what they want to do, but they're good at computers and they enjoy that, there are lots of openings for computer support specialists. They're starting at about $30,000. Land surveying. You've got that student who does not want to be in the classroom, does not want to be behind a desk, wants to be out in the field, likes to be outdoors. Land surveying is a great opportunity. They're starting at $48,000. Welding, I think people are familiar with that. You can get it as a degree program here in the state of Maine, but you could also get professional credential training and still start at a very good salary. I also like, so down here, so refrigeration. So recently we needed to hire someone to come in and take a look at our heating situation here in the house. So heating, ventilation, air conditioning technician, and getting one was tough. So they are starting at $37,000 with just a professional credential. So, high pressure boiler operators, so $36,000 a year. So these are some great jobs, some great opportunities with short trainings. I will say another one that I'm aware of that's available at some other programs is dental assisting. So in some cases that is a 6 to 8 week training program. Dental assisting is the person who in the dentist's office who hands the dentist tools and sets things up and cleans up afterwards, and they are starting at about $35,000 a year. Excuse me, with that 6 to 8 week training program. So some really great opportunities for students who are not sure they're ready for college or want to be heading to college, but want that better paying job with more security. Excuse me. Another thing that students could look at are apprenticeships. So again, for students who are not sure that the class, getting back into a classroom is what they're looking for right now, there are a number of apprentice programs out there. So this allows students to set up a structured training program with somebody in their field, so doing the job that they want to do ultimately. These are through main employers, and the apprenticeship programs are often sponsored by employers or associations or labor management groups. Their goal is to, work with that student as an apprentice, get them trained, and then hire them into that job. So you can visit Maine.gov at the labor/job trainings/apprenticeships to learn more about the Maine apprenticeship program and which fields and organizations are part of their program. So paying for this, so financial aid is still available. And this year in particular, there are lots of great opportunities. So federal, Pell, and direct loans would always still be available at this point of the year. But the Maine State Grant, which typically has a May 1st deadline, so you need to have filed for financial aid by May 1st, we have extended that this year. So it is, we just have not had as many, FAFSA applications coming in through the door. So those Maine State grants are still open and available for students that qualify. In my conversations with colleges, I did learn that USM extended their merit aid consideration to July 1st. So students can continue to apply through July 1st and still be considered for the traditional merit aid packages. And then colleges will usually consider transfer students for merit aid as early as the spring semester. So maybe you are a student who's getting started a little bit late in the game, and or the student, I worked with a student just recently who applied to one college, dream college, did not get in, and didn't have a great backup plan. So this is what we've been talking about, is how do we find that plan so that she can go ahead and apply into another college as a transfer student. So know that even if a student gets started now at a college that might not be where they want to end their college career or their college experience, they can get started and then transfer into the most colleges for that second, even this spring semester, but certainly for that second year, and still be considered for merit aid. And of course, I have to talk about Maine's free college scholarship. So our Maine community colleges are offering free college tuition to any of the graduates of the class of 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. They cover 100% of tuition and fees at any of the 7 Maine community colleges. So in order to do that, students need to have a high school diploma or the equivalent. So if you are finishing up your high set or your adult diploma through the adult ed, works for you as well. You need to be a Maine resident, enroll full-time. And this is the hard part. So I think for some students who are a little bit nervous about being a full-time student, the community colleges are willing to work with you and have conversations about how to stay on track. So they will allow you to use those summer semesters as part of your 30 credits. So that can definitely make that, students don't have to take the full, 15 credits per semester. You need to be pursuing an associate's degree or a 1-year certificate. And you need to take all of your federal financial aid first, which means file your FAFSA. Again, we at FAME are here to help at any point in this process, but this free college program we're really hoping is going to encourage those students who are kind of late to the game to, hop into college for fall. So we're hoping that we're going to see some great turnaround on this program. So again, we are offering lots of help this summer. Please rely on us. I know there are school counselors who are going on their summer vacation, and teachers and support staff. So we are here all summer long. We offer free individualized financial aid counseling. So if you visit our website and go to contact us, you'll see an opportunity to sign up for free financial aid counseling. So we continue to offer those one-on-one appointments through Zoom all summer long. And those have been great, guys. So we have mostly filled them, just about filled them. So there's always openings as we get closer and we keep opening up new spots. But we have found that it has been a really effective way to communicate with students and families. That's kind of, it doesn't involve them having to get out of their house or out of their pajamas and go down to the local library or school to meet with us. So we can do that via Zoom right from their home, and it works out really well. We will also be offering summer FAFSA help sessions. So we anticipate holding these sessions all the way through June and August. So we'll continue to hold those virtual FAFSA help sessions to assist families. So again, those are, we set them up. Families will log in via Zoom and we will put them into their own private, luxurious Zoom breakout room and help them through the process. So again, and certainly we are still willing to meet with families one-on-one, visit them at coffee shops or libraries or whatever it takes to help them get that done. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I apologize that this took a little while to get recorded and get up online, but please check out our website for more resources at famemaine.com. Follow us on any of our social media platforms and email us at education@famemaine.com if you have any additional questions. Thank you and have a great day.